It's great to be here speaking with you today, although virtually. I think you know me well enough, Ryan, to know that I'm not really big on prepared speeches or long speeches, but this is one example or one instance where I'm going to make an exception because there's so many important things to talk about. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Brooks, the Research Triangle Regional Partnership, and NC Tech Association for holding this event. It's critically important. There's a lot of valuable information that will be discussed. I also want to thank CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, for providing subject matter experts to discuss cyber threats that North Carolina companies face today and the threats that we have in the whole of federal government. We want to work with you, partner with you, and help secure your businesses. It's essential the federal government do more to raise awareness, to engage directly with innovation companies like so many we have in North Carolina. There have been multiple public warnings issued about cyber threats in the last few months, and I've received classified briefings on many of these threats. However, my first thought after the briefing was Congress and federal agencies responsible for helping American companies need to do more to make sure you have the information you need. I think the single most important thing we can do to help American companies are briefings like these. CISA is a sub-agency of the Department of Homeland Security. Their job is to defend American infrastructure by working with private companies to help you build more secure and resilient infrastructure based on their knowledge and their real-time understanding of current threats. They're the people who can help you before you are the target of a cyber attack, not after. And while Americans are working tirelessly to help each other, criminal enterprises and foreign adversaries see this as an opportunity, and they're exploiting every opportunity they can. In May, the FBI and CISA issued a joint notice warning that hackers affiliated with the Chinese government were targeting American companies. Specifically, Chinese hackers were targeting COVID-19 related research. China is sending a clear message. If Americans can invent it, they will steal it. The threat from China is not something new, but during the pandemic, their attempts to steal intellectual property are a clear threat to our national security. That's why in May, I sent a bipartisan letter with Senators Blumenthal, Cornyn, and Sass to the FBI and CISA asking if they needed additional funding or statutory authorities to better defend American companies like yours. America's recovery depends on innovative companies working to develop vaccines and treatments. And it's incredibly important that we protect your hard-earned intellectual property. I also sent a bipartisan letter with Senator Blumenthal to Senators McConnell and Schumer, encouraging them to include additional funding for CISA, specifically to help harden our innovation infrastructure in the United States. We've got to do more to protect intellectual property, especially anything related to COVID-19. Federal hackers are not only targeting COVID-19 related intellectual property. Hackers affiliated with governments of foreign adversaries are seeking to take advantage of weaknesses created by remote work. Criminal enterprises are also constantly on the hunt for vulnerabilities and ways to steal valuable intellectual property or hold our systems hostage until you pay a huge ransom to recover them. In July, I sent a letter to the FBI and CISA about a threat from Russian hackers affiliated with the Russian military who are launching sophisticated ransomware attacks against American companies. In the letter, I urge FBI and CISA to do more for outreach like this, to raise awareness and of all these threats and future threats. I'm working to raise awareness through letters of federal agencies and congressional hearings. In fact, this won't be announced publicly until later today, but I want you to hear it first. In September, I'm going to hold a Senate Judiciary Intellectual Property Subcommittee hearing on the cyber threats to American intellectual property. I cannot urge you strongly enough to take these warnings seriously and to be proactive. The threat of cyber attacks is not limited to companies doing COVID-19 research. Every American company is a potential target. And before I turn this briefing over to the experts, I think it's also important to know where you need to go if your company's been a victim of a cyber attack. The FBI recommends that you contact the closest FBI field office. For businesses in Raleigh, the closest FBI offices would be Charlotte or Norfolk. You can also contact the local U.S. Attorney's Office. I appreciate RT RTRP, and NC Tech Association for inviting me to speak with you today. And I'll do everything I can to help harden these companies or harden our industry. This is something I did for a living as a partner at Price Waterhouse and a partner at IBM Global Business Services. We need to take heed of all the advice from federal agencies, and we need to work with private enterprise to harden our infrastructure and save our intellectual property. Thank you all for hosting this event today. And again, thanks to the CISA experts for joining the call. You'll learn a lot from them. And I would also say on a final note, because so much of what we're talking about are the big issues, do what I did when I first came to the Senate. I bought the book called Hacking for Dummies. The reason I bought that book is I knew most of the things that they do to actually get in. The human factor is a critical vulnerability. It's important to read some of the tools that are available on the internet, and they're being exploited by sophisticated infrastructures. We have to take this threat as the serious threat that it is, and events like this take a step in that direction. Ryan, Brooks, thanks again for doing this. I appreciate your work on the issue, and I'll do everything I can to support you.